Hello everyone and welcome back to my top 100. This time we're going through another batch of 10 games, 70 through to 61. The games are only getting better from here. Maybe your favourite is in this list. Let's find out by jumping into it now. My number 70 is a game that I find is super unique. Yes, a few other games do use this mechanic or component sort of thing. It's Canvas. Using transparent cards. A few games do it, but I've not seen any really do it like Canvas does. Because the way you use the art cards, you layer up these transparent cards and then slide them in as a picture. And it means that you are using all of these bits of artworks and overlaying them in any order. Now, yes, there is a whole point scoring part, the game part of it, where you're trying to get these symbols at the bottom. And actually, the artwork doesn't matter at all. But it really kind of does. When you've made a painting, you've chosen your order of them to score big points. There's something satisfying about showing it off and saying, because it comes with random words, so maybe it's like nervous entertainment, and it's like, this is nervous entertainment, I've painted this myself, and then everyone looks at it, it's quite hopefully a nice, aesthetically pleasing painting. One of my favourites was where there was like a window card, so you're looking through a window, and then outside, and the next one was like a meteor shower, and then someone running on another one, and it was like you were looking out this window into a meteor shower with someone running away trying to sort of save themselves. You can create these quirky little stories almost from these artwork cards. Again, the artwork is not really used, well, it's not used at all in the game. It's all these symbols at the bottom of the cards. But the game is relatively pleasant. I have seen some people suffer with analysis paralysis on getting the symbols in the right order. But on your turn, it's like take a card or make a painting. It's that simple, and it's really satisfying because of the artwork. I love the artwork and I love that game part of it. And yeah, the points are fun as well, but I don't care if I win or lose because I'm having fun in Canvas. My number 69 is a game that I can see going quite a lot higher on my list. It's only relatively recently entered the collection, so it's not had that time to keep getting played, and it will, because Mind Management is a brilliant hidden movement game. Now, it's a genre I do really like, so it's not for everyone. I do very much appreciate that, but this is my list, so it doesn't matter. But a lot of games in this genre try and do a little bit extra, like Fury of Dracula is a popular one. To me, it does too much away from the hidden movement. Mind Management doesn't. You've got one person, the recruiter, sneaking around behind a sort of board. They're writing the numbers of where they've been. They every now and again have to give you who they've recruited or how many people they've recruited. So you're like, okay, over these 2 turns, they've recruited this many. But did they get 1 and then a couple, or did they just get 3 and then none? And really good little bits of dribs and drabs of information. The rogue agents, the other side, you've got powers. It's like, are you anywhere near me? That's the thing you can do on your turn. Or maybe you're sort of just being like, okay, have you been to one of these coffee shop locations? Ah, you have been over there. Okay, that's interesting. So maybe you've done this. But then the other person, the recruiter's like, ah, yes, I have been to that coffee cup like 5 turns ago, but I don't want you to know that. I need you to sort of not know 100% where I am. It's absolutely brilliantly done, and it's got these shift packages, which means when you lose as a team or the recruiter, you get a little bit extra. You get a little help for the next game that you play. Like, getting a little bonus extra rule or card or something out of these packs that just turns the tide slightly in your favour. And there's 7 of each. I've not opened all of them yet, but I've had a lot of fun sort of seeing some of the stuff that comes out of those packages, and even just that solid base gameplay. I could play that time and time again. That's Mind Management. Number 68 isn't really quite hidden movement, you're very much on the board, but they don't know where you are, and that's Mr. Jack. Mr. Jack is a game about Jack the Ripper trying to escape. He's sort of basically disguised as one of these characters on the board, and each turn you'll move some tokens around by playing these cards, and then you'll be like, okay, are you in the dark or in the light? And depending on if you're stood next to someone or stood next to a lamppost, you'll be in the light. And that's ruling characters in or out. And then certain lampposts go off. They're no longer available. It's just a really nice way of trying to get little bits of information, trying to split the people apart. And the Jack the Ripper player is trying to then blob them back up again. So when you ask, it doesn't really rule anyone out. It's like hidden movement because no one knows, or the other person, it's a two-player only game, the other player doesn't know which of these characters you are. So they might move what is your character into a safer zone, and you'll be like, well, I'm not going to complain. There's some secret tunnels that move people around. You can make it look like this person's trying to escape off the board, because that's one of the ways for the Jack player to win, is to escape. So then the other player thinks, that must be the bad person, so they're trying to rule them out or rule them in, and then say it's them, and they're wrong. And it's a lot of fun for two players, really quick game. I've not played the pocket version. I feel like that would be maybe... I like the size of the sort of the normal one. The pocket one might be a bit fiddly, but would be more portable. But yeah, Mr. Jack, fantastic game for two players. Number 67 is a polyomino placement game. You're probably going to hear a few of them on this list, and that is Isle of Cats. In this, you are effectively rescuing cats from an island on your boat. You've got this boat board, and it's a really tough decision when you're placing one of these cats on, of how are you placing it, what are you covering up, and what are you not. Because when you place them, you're trying to fill out these rooms, you're trying to make colours of cats be stuck together, because then you're getting points for that. But there's rats that you really need to cover up because they'll lose you points. There's like these other places, I think they're scrolls or something, that are going to get you something for being covered up. And it means you're constantly dragging and being dragged one way or another by these different scoring conditions of, if I cover that up, I won't lose points. If I finish this room, I'll get the points for that. If I put it over here, I'll get it because they're a bigger blob of green cats. What do I do? But it's a really good choice. It's not too analysis paralysis prone, as I just kind of made out, but it's the logic of there's many different ways to score on, then not lose points. And it's not just polyomino placement, there's drafting as well. I love those two things, and actually some people don't like it in this game because it feels like it's very much one stage drafting, one stage tile placement. I love both mechanics, and therefore I enjoy both halves of this game. But if you're not a fan of one or the other, maybe this one isn't for you. And it's a bit odd that like the cats can technically sprawl through the walls of your boat, through the different rooms. It's odd that you're also trying to collect treasures. It's like, oh, well, sod that cat, let's get this gold in. There's little bits like that that are a bit odd, but it's a really fun game with that drafting and then tile placement. Two amazing mechanics, and that for me works really well. My number 66 is a brilliant introduction to worker placement for anyone, and that for me is Lords of Waterdeep. It's got that Dungeons and Dragons fantasy theme, very loosely pasted on with location names and the cards of like the monsters. They've just basically got powers once you've killed them, and you're spending like apparently like clerics and wizards and soldiers and stuff, but they're just coloured cubes. So you're collecting these coloured cubes, you're spending them for different cards. You're trying to get, you've got like a secret objective of if you do this certain type of quest, you get bonus points for it. and it's just a really solid worker placement game. I don't think necessarily the expansion is as sort of necessary as a lot of people make out, because I use it as that introduction to worker placement. Nice and simple. The expansion is really cool where it adds in corruption skull things where you kind of don't want them, but you kind of want them a little bit because they're normally really on really good spaces. But the best thing about this that's in the base game is that you start off the board with these very good sort of standard locations and buildings that can be built. You build one of these locations, all of a sudden that's a new worker placement spot that's maybe the same or similar to one of the others, but if that's already been blocked, someone else might want to go there. But if they go to your place, you get a benefit for it. And that's not used, in my opinion, enough in worker placement games where you can build out and add more worker placement spots. It's just a really cool thing that you can do in Lords of Waterdeep, and I'm still happy to play that game. And like I say, it's perfect for someone that's not played a worker placement game to join in the fun, because worker placement is awesome. For number 65, it's a small carry portable bag in the form of Hive Pocket. Now, you can go for the other versions. They're a bit sort of big chunkier tiles, but I love the portability of this two-player game where each insect moves slightly differently. Yeah, there's a lot of rules to this one to teach initially. It does feel that first game when you're playing against someone that you're going to overwhelm them with how each of these different tiles move, because like there's only like one spider and it moves different to the ants, to the ladybird, to the bee, etc. But once you've played a couple of games, everyone knows how all the pieces move, how they maybe jump up onto each other or leap round the edge or leap over and different things, and you create this very cool small sort of puzzle for the two of you to crack against the other player of, right, if I can just close them in there, they won't be able to get out, but if I do that, then maybe they can utilise that against me, because you can almost trap yourself in this game as you're moving these different insects around the edge of the not board, because it doesn't even have a board, so you can play it on any surface that's flat. But yeah, it's got a lot of different abilities, of those things. But if you can get past that, it's a really cool two-player chess-ish sort of game where you're trying to just outmaneuver, outthink the other player. You don't necessarily have to think too many turns ahead, and you probably don't want to, because there's a lot of tiles that could have moved, or just one moving maybe changes the sort of train of thought of, oh, that now can't move over there because it would only end up here. Different things like that. Try it if you like two-player abstract games. That's Hive / Hive Pocket. My number 64 is a tile placement game where you can build out and upwards. Yes, I've mentioned one on a previous 10 section, but this one is Acropolis. Now, I really like, there's two parts of this game that I really like. First of all is how you get the tiles. There is a market down the middle, and one is free, and then for every one you want to skip, you have to pay back to the bank these sort of white quarry cubes, stone cubes or something. You have to pay those to skip over. And that means often there's a really good tile down the market, and it's like, I could buy that now, and that's going to be really good for me. Do I risk it going past the other players, or maybe other player? Do I risk them getting it? But then if I don't buy it now, and they don't buy it, it will be cheaper for me because we'll have taken tiles in front of it. So you've got this sort of interesting choice from that market, and then you've got the way all of these different tiles score. And you can create massive amounts of points from only one of the different colours, because they all score slightly different. It's like the blues want to be blobbed together, the yellows don't want to be, they want to be separated apart, the reds want to be round the edge, and different things like that. So you've got all of these different scoring opportunities, and they, but you kind of want to only go for some of them because it's times up by the height, it's times up by the number of them, and then it's also times by the number of these plaza spaces, which you really need to get because otherwise it's going to be times 0. But that means you can get a lot of these star plazas and times up a huge blob of those blue tiles that are built up on top of each other. It's a lot of good choices, and you, like I say, you can come out of this game scoring massive points and lose, but at least you've sort of managed to score a lot of points, or at least created a relatively cool sort of tile pile that's a bit more organised into a city. Anyway, that is Acropolis, very much worth checking out. Number 63 is a 2-player game. Yeah, I've got quite a few of them on this list because they're nice and easy to get to the table, whether you're meeting up with someone or I'm playing a game with my wife of an evening. That's easy to get to the table. This one is Watergate. Now, you don't need to know about the sort of historical event, but it certainly does make it a bit more of an interesting game, as one person is Nixon, one person is effectively the press, and you're trying to either not have the evidence pinned on you or pin the evidence on this pin board and chain it back to Nixon. So it's all done with these cards, these super powerful cards. But both players have super powerful cards, so it's not unbalanced. But if you play them at the right time, they're super situationally incredible, because maybe you stop the round early. You move some tokens on this tug of war massively towards you. And there's so many tokens each round. There's 3 bits of evidence that either could be added to the board by the press or could be added to the same board as Nixon, but as blocked routes. You could be hiring or signing up these people that are going to spill the beans on Nixon. But maybe if you do that, that card is gone for the rest of the game. You're not getting it back. And it could also be used to move the initiative token towards you. That's going to allow you to have more cards in the next round. And then there's also the final token, which I've forgotten the name of right now, but it's the red one that's moving on this track that you are trying to get control of as Nixon because you need them to win. The other player, the press, doesn't care about them quite as much, but will get benefits for getting them eventually. And it's also stopping Nixon winning. So as the press, you're trying to get all these tokens, but not let Nixon get too many of them either. And as Nixon, you're just trying to survive, basically. It's a really cool 2-player game with that sort of historical spin on it that you don't need to know, but if you do know it, it just feels that little bit extra coolness about it. And the tug of war with the card play, brilliant, especially when you realise how strong some of the powers are. And then you realise, damn, I'm playing against that player now. They've got that card, but this one is also super powerful. Just brilliant. That's Watergate. My number 62 would probably be a bit higher on a lot of people's lists, and that is Quacks of Quedlinburg. This is a game where you're building up a bag of mystery sort of ingredients because you're pulling them out randomly, so you're pushing your luck because some of the ingredients in your bag are going to cause your potion to explode. But you're trying to pull out as many as you dare to force your way around this track that's going to give you points and also effectively currency to spend on more, better, bigger, potentially more explosive ingredients. That maybe this allows you to put a chip back into your bag so you won't explode as quickly. Maybe this one, it scores you bonus points if it's been played after a pumpkin and different things like that. There's a huge variety of ingredients. The fact that they can turn over and do different powers in another game, so there's the variety there. I'm not a huge push your luck fan, and that's probably why it's here on the list for me. I'm not a huge fan of it as a concept, and this game is just that. But it's still on my list because it's short, sharp, fun. You can do awfully, but you can also do really well, and just it's very quick and fun. So even though you're pushing your luck, if it goes badly for a round, the next round's probably going to go really well for you and bad for one of your opponents. And it's all those ingredients that it feels like, yeah, I am actually impacting what's in my bag, and that's affecting my odds and my chances for when I push my luck. You've always got that thing of someone can absolutely play a blinder or absolutely screw themselves over, but as long as you go into the game thinking that, Quacks of Quedlinburg is a lot of fun. And the last game on this sort of block of 10, number 61, is a 2-player card game. Yes, a lot of 2 players on this list, and that is Jaipur. Now I thought this would be a little bit higher on the list, but it just sort of slipped down sort of slowly over time, I think, because it's a fun game. And, you know, you can play a few rounds of it, because you always play 3 rounds, or up to 3 rounds, because it's best of 3. And you're just sort of set collecting these cards. You've got this small market in front of you of cards that you're swapping these in and taking these, and you're trying to collect a set. And then you've got this sort of twist, and the twist that makes this experience are the camels. When you take camels, you take all of them, but not into your hand, because you've got a hand limit, which is annoying in a good way, because you have to work around that. But the camels can be used to trade with the market still. So if you've got a built-up pile of camels, all of a sudden you can just swap your camels in for all of these really good cards. And some of them are better than others. Some of them are more frequent in the deck, which means you can get a load of these, trade them in, get a bonus for trading like 5 in at once, and get 5 of these OK tokens. Or maybe I wait and I get these gold ones. I trade in only 2, but it's probably worth as many points, but I don't get a bonus. It's a really interesting way of doing this as 2-player, as this market is constantly the choice of, well, if I take that, it's going to refresh for my opponent. If I take multiple, I'm having to put cards in or camels in. I never want to be the person that's going to offer loads of new, fresh cards to my opponent, but at times you really want those cards that are available. So it's got that really good choice of, I want these cards, but do I let my opponent get new ones? Do I offer these to my opponent via that market? When to take camels, when to spend camels? And do I go for the big point scoring ones, or smaller point scoring, but hopefully get a bigger set and get bonus points? It's a quick card game as well, which really helps, because you could play around in like 5 minutes, pause if you need to, come back, play another round, another 5 minutes. So it's easily broken into very short chunks, and that is Jaipur. Anyway, that rounds out this block of 10. Let me know, was I massively wrong about any of these games? Should they have been super high in my list? Should they not have been my list at all? Well, let me know in the comment section below. And please do subscribe to see the sort of rest of this list. There is a playlist with all of those videos that are already out, and it will be added to as the rest come out. And there hopefully should be either the previous video or next video on the screen for you to click onto straight away. Anyway, until next time, enjoy the top 100 that is out, and have a great day.